Hi guys, it's Ray here from Man City Fan TV. I hope you all enjoyed the videos that we put out for the Newport FA Cup tie. We must have had 10 or 12 videos out on Saturday and Sunday. Absolutely fantastic to go and visit these small grounds away from home, and it's brilliant going to watch City play, even more so when you're going to watch them play away. And I feel so privileged, really, and it's such a pleasure, and we have so much fun. And as I always say, you see a lot more when you're watching games live than you do on the telly, and you see a lot more if you stick around and hang around. I mean, I saw on Saturday evening as the players were getting on the coach, Gabby Jesus was hobbling and he was wincing, and he was obviously injured. He had some sort of knock or a niggle or whatever. And as soon as I saw that, I thought, I can't see him playing midweek. Really can't. But fortunately, he was walking on his own steam. He wasn't, he didn't have a foot boot on, let's say, to protect his foot or anything. He didn't have crutches. So, at the time, I just thought it's probably just a, short-term injury, a knock. He might be out for a few days. But these are the kind of extra tidbits you find out if you stick around for an hour after the game. Most of the fans, City fans at least, had already got on their coaches and minibuses and gone home. But as you do, filming away, talking to a lot of opposition fans, you get a lot more information. But anyway, because I got home so late, and it's probably about 3:30 in the morning that I actually got home after I'd watched highlights of the game and read some reviews and reports and checked out stuff on social media. It's probably 5:30 before I went to bed, and I got like 3 hours sleep that night. So, I was totally knackered on Sunday, and I missed watching a game that I really wanted to watch, and that was a La Liga game between Real Madrid, who were playing at home, against Girona. Now, Girona FC are part of the City football group. City own, I think, around 45% or 50% of Girona. And I think the rest is owned by Pep's brother, Per, I think his name is. And we send usually several players out there on loan. And this season we've sent them, I think, 3 or 4. I think we can send maximum 5. I think we sent 3 or 4 this season off the top of my head. So I'm always interested to see how they perform, especially when they're playing up against one of the big guns. Now, for that game, we had Douglas Luiz starts in the game and Alex Garcia on the bench. Now, this video is going to be about Douglas Luiz. And so what I'm going to do is give you a little bit of the background of Douglas Luiz and why he's out at Girona, and a little bit about how he's doing and how he's progressing and developing, and then look forward to the future. Now, Douglas Luiz is 20 years old. He's a Brazilian, and City signed him in July 2017 for about 10 million quid. I mean, those were the reports at the time. I think Pep in an interview said something like 12 to 14 million. Now, he could have been talking euros. I mean, it's quite easy to mix currencies. So, I'm happy to go with about 10 million quid. So he signed a 5-year contract, and he was immediately loaned out to Girona. Now, that's for the 2017-2018 season. Now, he featured only in 17 games, I think 15 in the league, and 2 in the cup. So he came back to City in the summer, and with the expectation from everybody really that he'd be an understudy to the brilliant and highly dependable Fernandinho. But because he was a non-EU player coming from Brazil, he needed a work permit to play for City. And sadly, the FA turned down that work permit application on the last day of the transfer window. And Pep was really confused and frustrated by this, because it left him no time to get anybody else in if he wanted to get anybody else in as cover for Fernandinho. Now, I don't believe City are going to spend in the region of £10 million plus on a player if they don't think that player can do the business either in the short term or immediately. I mean, when we spend big money on players, we're buying them to play for us. If we're spending 2 or 3 million, 4 or 5 million, we might be buying them for the resale value in 2 or 3 years' time. But if we're paying 10 million plus for players, we're expecting them to be part of the first team training, part of the first team squad, and eventually to play for the first team. So, because this work permit was refused right at the last minute, City had to send him back out on loan to Girona. And this season he's featured in 19 games already, which is more than what he got last season. I said he got 17 games last season. He's had 19 games already this season, and we're only in the middle of February. So he's going to get a good run of games this season. So Girona played away at Madrid on Sunday morning our time. And because I didn't watch the game, I was so knackered. I asked one of my friends to keep me updated to what was happening and how Douglas Luiz was playing, because that was my main interest. I mean, to be honest, I wouldn't watch ordinarily the game between Real Madrid and Girona if City didn't have an interest in Girona and we didn't have a few youngsters on loan out there. So this is what one of my friends said. He's a bit of a journalist and he's very, very interested, and he's got a lot of knowledge on younger players all around Europe. So this is what he said. He said Douglas Luiz had a poor first half, which kind of passed him by. But this game was a tale of two halves because he had a very good second half. He intercepted the ball on the halfway line and he drove forwards with the ball, and and a nice cute pass to Lozano, which created the second goal. Now Lozano had a shot. Thibaut Courtois saved it. I think he could have done a lot better with his save, and then someone else headed it in. So my friend, you can find him on Twitter. He's Nepali Man on Twitter, because it doesn't take a genius to guess where he comes from. So my friend's overall analysis of Douglas Luiz is, he said, Douglas is still learning the role of a deep-lying playmaker, previously having been a box-to-box midfielder, but he's close to being very good. He has had some big performances this season, but has been inconsistent, which is only to be expected given his new role and age. It's clear that he has talent. It's about his mentality, how he approaches his career and how serious he is. Zinchenko would be an ideal model to him in that category. It's pretty good and high praise there for a kid who's only 20 years old. So what does the future hold for Douglas Luiz? Well, personally, I expect him to return to City in the summer, work permit in hand, and I believe he'll be an understudy to Fernandinho next season, because Fernandinho is still, even at 34, he's still at the top of his game. And so he'll be an understudy to Fernandinho, and probably I really expect us to get a more experienced defensive midfielder in the summer as well. So it could end up being that Douglas Luiz is an understudy to two players in that position. But I reckon Fernandinho will be gone within probably by the end of next season, so in about 18 months' time, and that will give Douglas Luiz the chance to develop even more. Playing under Pep, I think he's got so many good attributes that in about, let's say, 2.5 years' time, it sounds a long time away, but I reckon in about 2.5 years' time, he could have developed into the real deal. In 2.5 years' time, he's got another 6 months at Girona, 12 months at City as an understudy to Fernandinho and maybe Ndombele, someone like that. And the following season, when I think Fernandinho will either have left or be a bit part player, it's just the way it's going to be, because Fernandinho will be, best part 36 years old. I think that's when Douglas Luiz will come to the fore, and he might be mixing it, at 22 years old. I can see him playing half a season, mixing that position with another experienced person, like someone like, for argument's sake, Ndombele, who'd be 24, 25 years old at the time. So Douglas Luiz has got a lot of potential. He's starting to fulfill it. He's starting to develop. He's starting to show what he can do. And fingers crossed, he'll get his work permit. He'll be back at City in the summer, and he'll develop and learn under Pep. And, if he carries on developing like this, to buy a top quality defensive midfielder, you're looking at 40 million plus, probably 60 million these days. And, Douglas Luiz at 10 million quid could save us a lot of money. And fingers crossed he comes back and he makes it. Guys, if you haven't already subscribed to our YouTube channel, it would absolutely be fantastic if you could do so. It's dead easy. Just click on that red subscribe button below. If you hit the bell icon, you'll be notified as soon as we put out new videos. And if you like the video, it's always nice just to click and say you like the video. It makes us feel better, and when we feel better, we're really keen to put out more videos for you guys. any more comments that you've got, you know, what you think about Douglas Luiz, just leave them in the comment section below. And as we normally do, we try and answer every single comment, even with an actual reply or a thumb tick or something that we like your comments. You know, we sometimes, you know, we're getting dozens of comments per video. It's hard to go through them all, but we do our best to try and do that. See you around, Blues.